bride and groom, their bodies a little dead, a little exhausted, roll away from one another, away from this unhistorical history, away from the morning where everyone feels small and unaccounted for, and into the afternoon where, unnoticed, completely and utterly unnoticed, noon passed, and already everything has been. The crickets shoveling seeds into cracks they won't see in the winter, birds believing in nothing abandon their twigs and leave town with first signs of snow.
Oh, love me forever,
moans the bride. This is agony for her, this sudden second sight, the seeing the forest for the trees, this unquenched fire in her heart.
Oh, love me forever,
screams the bride. Already she is picturing a white dress with the tailor with 12 assistants will slave over. Already picturing the tiered cake, the guests milling in petals sternalials. Already she's picturing all this at once, simultaneously with the ecstasy of fulfillment. Betrayal. Betrayal, betrayal, betrayal here, at once, with the groom inches from her bare hips, she sees his disappearance, the broken promise, the imaginary foul sheets of his new bride, the other, the chamber they will retire to when she, if not restrained by her sisters and her I told you so parents, would have thrown herself head first down the stone steps leading to the altar.
Is there no sadder story than mine?
And the bride. And the bride, and the groom, in another city, in another place, in another clearing with a new set of flowers, and another sack of sperm, and flowers to wind together and pull out. The groom grows mythic, larger, more handsome, not aged, but evil, evil, evil! Dear God, in heaven above, your scratch pad of doobies and dunces, of goodies and bad enoughs, put me on the happiness list and relieve me from this feeling of being left over, warmed up by my own hands, searching my own vacancies. Dear God, in the heaven of good ideas, good deeds, and sporadic miracles, do something here now for these embarrassed women. The brides wait for a response. Nothing happens. Pity her and move on, they sing in the town. Pity her and move on. What happens when God does not happen? We turn to the devil. Turn. Unhappy person to devil. Come in, devil. Unhappy person to devil. Come in, devil. Do you read me? Do you read me? Do you read me? Do you read me?
The devil speaks.
Hello, my dear! How pretty you look in your funeral gowns. Did your mother make them for you? I love beautiful dresses. Fashion is kind of a hobby for me. Don't speak. I see the pain you wear it and it strangles you. There are no zippers or buttons. The hem drags on the floor. I know it. You see, I am something of a tailor myself. Cutting, sewing, pinning. Let me help you take off the pain. May I? Oh, bad luck in love is such a heavy fabric. Don't you think? There. Aren't I helping already? Oh, good girls like you. All you need to do is forget. Here, take my shop assistant. He's small, scrawny, but all fine husbands are. Make him your own, my dear. I never had a daughter, but I like to think a pretty thing like you crying could be. Think of me sometimes. The arrival of the tailor's dummy. Once upon a time, and because this story is your life, and that in the present, everything that was wrong and insulting you would put up with, waiting for the great and the big. And when you thought it was approaching you, wavering, incandescent, rich with the promise of happiness, you held your breath and closed your eyes, grabbing and hugging in your reward, your fulfillment. But in the morning, with the spine of your pillow ripped open and its cut foam insides clung to the scatter-ragged blanket, you realized it was only a...
If I fall